Hello, it's Ranny Duck and welcome back for another video, and today I've got two replays to show you in the Tier 10 American Premium Tank Destroyer, the T114 Bat. Now this was a season reward tank from a couple seasons ago, and if you want to see the crew and equipment setup I run in this tank, you'll be able to see it at the bottom of the screen as I speak. So the first replay we have for you today is here on Several Gross, and I'm tuned up with our buddy Panda here in the artillery. Now this tank is kind of like, it's a tank destroyer by class, but it's kind of almost like a light tank or fast medium. I kind of play it more like, I play it quite aggressively a lot of the time, because you've basically got a 3-shot autoloader which has decent reload. We've got about a 19-second, 19.4 second reload with 3 shots, 420 alpha on the standard rounds, standard heat rounds, with 315 penetration. And then on the premium rounds, you've got 180 penetration HESH, but for 570 alpha. So like if you get those 3 shots penned with HESH, you can do a lot of damage very, very quickly. But you do have, incredibly poor on both rounds shell velocity, and it means that you have to really sort of aim your shots or not be too far away from the enemy tanks. But here on the first replay here on Several Gross, not really the best map for this type of tank, if I'm honest. But we managed to get a decent start and actually pen our first 3 shots into a heavy tank which crosses, which puts us on to sort of 1,100 damage. So a really nice start to the game nonetheless, and I've kind of as you can see, I've taken this position here, which you often find tanks play. I can sort of use, knocking down a few trees to give me a boost of concealment, and when tanks are distracted, I'm going to try and squeeze in a few shots at the enemy tanks. But I do get a nice penetration in there to the cupola of the aviary there, but I obviously have to be careful because the aviary can just destroy me in one shot. This tank doesn't have any armour. You're not bouncing shots on this in this tank unless you get some really weird angle or it gets sort of absorbed in your tracks there. But we're able to finish off the Iron Rain. What this tank does have is good mobility and actually a really good concealment value as well. I've got the concealment down to about 250 in this build. So like I say, you can play it as that sort of light tank. I do run traction systems on this tank as equipment to give me a boost to the top speed, which I find actually really helps out with this tank. Looking to get some shots into Chieftain there. As he pulls round, was hoping to get a shot in. Unfortunately, I was sort of struggling there on that rock to get the right sort of gun depression to shoot down on that Chieftain and get the kill, which is a bit frustrating. But I'm looking to try and squeeze in the finishing shot, and we do. And we pick up our second kill of the game. Putting us under 2,300 damage now. And still an even game. We've kind of won this area of the map, if you like, or at least pushed the enemy team back. And we are going to push forward to see if we can get some more damage in this game. Like I say, not the best map for this type of tank because it can be a little bit corridory, and it's not really how I want to be playing. I want to be trying to relocate and abuse the concealment, etc. But we bounced the first shot off of the E50, but we were able to finish him off with the second. And we know this Death Star has fired, so I'm looking to get my final shell away, which I do. And now go on to this reload. A friendly aviary absolutely destroys that Death Star, putting him onto a 1-shot. With only 6 tanks remaining, I'm hoping to go round, kill this enemy Death Star, and then probably try and finish off and maybe get some shots into the enemy artillery pieces. We do spot an enemy tank destroyer there, which we were looking to try and get a shot in. Unfortunately, the shot, like I say, doesn't go true. It can be like I say, it's got a big bloom time. It's actually fairly accurate, this tank, but you just have a big bloom time and poor shell velocity. We only managed to get 1 shot into that enemy artillery there, but we do at least track him in place and pick up some assistance. And I swapped to the HESH rounds here because I know I'm looking for this other enemy artillery who we've just spotted up in the corner there. Now, with the 180 penetration on these HESH rounds, I can easily penetrate the artillery. There's quite a few tanks you can pen with the 180 HESH, and when you are using them, like I say, about 570 alpha is really nice. You can shred through tanks and you get a big boost to your DPM. But we do finish off the enemy artillery there, putting us on to 5,000 damage with 4 kills and only 2 enemy tanks remaining. One is an enemy FV 1005, so we have kept the HESH rounds loaded, because that tank we could easily pen again with a Hesh and boost our damage. So off reload now, looking to try and find a target. We do find the enemy tank destroyer's full health. We get one shot in, we get two shot in, and then he gets shut down there. Now we can't really pen this last tank with the Hesh, so we just splash him. But we do get two full pens into the F3005, which puts our total to this game above the 6,000 damage with 2,000 assistance and 4 kills. So decent game, do confirm the ace tanker and the high caliber. But as always, we've got a better game coming up, so let's move on to the final replay of this video. Okay, so here we are for the final replay on Serene Coast. Now again, I probably wouldn't class this as a great map for this tank, but also not the worst. It's not in the worst tier category. But initially we're going to push across. If you notice, there's no enemy light tanks in this game. Now that is good news for us, because it means we can try and spot the cross and abuse the good concealment value this tank does have. And hopefully, if we get lucky, we've got tuned up here again with Panda in the artillery. He might be able to shoot some of the targets we spot, and we'll pick up a bit of assistance here. So I think an enemy tank does get spotted, but I haven't really spotted anything crossing, which is surprising. But if you notice our medium tank, it kind of looks like he's going to push across, and he may actually detect a few things here. So I'm waiting, just trying to be a little bit patient, thinking surely something's in the cross. There we go, we do spot an enemy tank there. We're able to put one shot into him. Looking to get a final shot in as he crosses. We actually hit that. Like I say, you have to put a lot of lead in these tanks. Because on the standard rounds, you've got a shell velocity of 503, and on a premium's 498. So really poor shell velocity, which means you have to lead those shots when you're firing over distance. But I've noticed a lot of tanks have been spotted on the other side, and not much has been spotted this side. So I decided I was going to try and move up underneath this ridge and try and get a few shots in and spot for our team. But as I'm making my advance to this ridge line, I notice an IS-7 is coming in on our friendly medium tank, and I don't really want to leave our medium tank out to dry. So I'm going to come in and try and help him kill this IS-7, because otherwise I don't think he's going to be able to survive. Now, our first shot, unfortunately, ricochets there. Like I say, is the heat shell's a little bit awkward. We do get one shell in. We're going to try and get a second one, which will put him onto a two-shot to us. But he is tracked in the place there, so he's hopefully going to get shut down by our friendly team. And that does happen. He gets killed by our friendly QL. Pick up a couple of penetrations, and still got all our hit points for a decent start to the game. As we make an advance, and we waffle, get spotted in the open. We get one shot into him, looking to get the kill there. We do manage to shut him down before he's able to get his shot into us. And we've taken a lead on this game now by 4 tanks. And now I'm going to try and reverse up this ridge. Hopefully these tanks will get, could potentially get shot by our friendly artillery. Pick up some assistance by Panda there, or the other artillery. If not, I'm going to try and squeeze in shots. Like I say, got a heat pen here, so I can go through the top of his cupola. I'm just going to try and get these shots in. He can't really over-peak to get the shots into me, because if he does, he's going to get shot by all the tanks sort of covering us, or the few tanks which are covering us. Now, this game is definitely not won, but we're still in a decent position. Unfortunately, our QL gets slapped by the artillery there and loses quite a lot of hit points. I'm trying to finish off this enemy tank here so we can move on and try and get to the rest of the damage, because I think most of the damage is on the other side of the map. Bar maybe the artillery, which is probably in their spawn. So we do finish off an enemy tank there, putting us onto just shy of 4,000 damage there with 2 kills. And we do spot the enemy artillery pieces. Now, I probably could have swapped to the Hesh rounds, but I was already started loading the standard rounds. So I've kept the standard rounds in, but like I say, the Hesh would have been enough to pen these artillery, and we might pick up a bit more damage. He tries to shoot me, he splashes me. Now I know he's on reload, and I'll get my shells away, putting us on to, well, just shy of 5,000 damage now. With 8 tanks remaining, there's still a juicy amount of damage. So I'm going to move in now and try and actually, I've actually surprised this enemy heavy tank behind us hasn't actually got taken out. Kind of thought that tank would have died, but it's not really happened, so I do need to deal with this tank. He's coming in for me now, and he may well put a shot into me, which he does, but I've got enough to finish him off. Picking up our third kill, putting us over 5,000 damage with a bit of assistance as well. And 5 tanks remaining. I think at least 4 of them are on the sort of the right hand side, as you can see on the mini-map. The last of the tanks is in a base, who is full health. So I'm thinking about trying to go and deal with this tank in the base. I'm just waiting. I was trying to lose my spot here. I was like, come on, we just lose my spot so we can try and sneak up on this target. Don't really want to eat a shot off of him until I get close. I can afford to eat a shot, but I'd rather get a little bit closer to him, and then I can dump my 3 shells into him and then move on to hopefully get a bit more damage on the other side, because I'm on about 5,000, sort of 500 damage, so I'm having a decent game. I bounce one of those shells. I do get spotted as well. The shot I snapshot on the move, not even looking, actually pens, because that is just what RMGesus loves. Puts us on to about 6,000 damage, but now I'm on reload, and I'm deciding that I'm going to come in. I don't know if I can fully clip him in one clip, but I could. I mean, it's possible. If not, I'll put him pretty close. So I'm going to try and move in and try and deal with this tank. Only 3 tanks remaining. The last 2 DDs, we know exactly where they are. They are in, on the other side, on the 8-9 line. I want to try and get another. If I can get another full clip in at this rate, I'm thinking, well, I could get at least sort of 7,000 damage, and then if I'm lucky, I might be able to get over and get some more damage in the TDs before they get taken out. So I'm coming behind this enemy tank. He does know where we are. He's kind of looking at us here, which is fine. I'm expecting to eat a shell, but I get really lucky in the sense that I get absorbed in my tracks shot, so I actually managed to not actually eat a shell, eat all the damage there, which is very fortunate, because the second shot it goes in also somehow doesn't penetrate me. I'm not cheating, honest. I don't know what just happened there, but we're on over 7,000 damage with 2 tanks remaining. And we're going to move in and see if we can try and get some more damage in, putting us onto the 8,000 mark if we can get one more clipper off. Enemy A3 should be distracted. We're going to come round. We should be able to squeeze in the shell here. We do get one in. He then gets finished off. And then we've got the enemy Yag here, which we're looking to try and squeeze one in to his cupola if we can. We squeeze one in. Can we get the final shell in? We might pick up another kill. Yes, we can. Putting us onto 4 kills with 8,000 damage and 1,000 plus assistance there, and we should confirm the other ace tanker medal for the second replay. We do, and we get the high caliber. So as always, thank you so much for watching. If you do like the channel, please remember to like and subscribe, because it really does help that channel out. And as always, happy tanking.
Hadouken!